Okay, hey guys. I know there's only a few people, so, and it's a few minutes before 7, so, okay, it's going live. Thank goodness. Hopefully y'all can hear me. Good. I gotta turn it down so I don't have a second one. But how is everybody tonight? I hope everybody had a good Easter and we all got our good stuff. Did everybody see the blessings of the doorways? Because you can also, yeah, my brothers, they're fun. But did everybody see the blessings of the doorways that I put up? Does anybody have any questions about that? Because I can answer some. Because I'm not, hi, Jericho. Hubby's not here tonight, Jericho. He'll be here next Sunday because he works an earlier shift. Tonight he's there until, I think, 11 tonight. But that's Lowe's for you. I'm hoping everybody knows that the oil that I got, the hyssop oil, that's where you go to myjerusalemstore.com. And it was fun. The only thing I had to redo that. So I have 2 blessings of oil on my door because I have a rebel flag on the inside of my house. Because I had people throw dead animals in my driveway because of a rebel flag. That's like, I don't get it. But when the good Lord comes back, we will see who the chosen are. Hi, Jane. How are you? How was everybody's Easter dinner? I had steak, a baked potato, 2 different types of veggies, a salad. I had a lot of stuff. Plus, we had a pumpkin pie that we had made at New Year's, but we didn't eat it, so we put it in the freezer, and bada bing, bada boom, we had it for Easter dinner. Yeah, I know that was a pretty good blessings video, especially like after we did the first one. Oh, my husband found out the my rebel flag was in the video, and we didn't want that taken down, so we had to remove the rebel flag. But do you guys want to do these cards tonight? Yeah, I know. It's just people don't understand why we like who we like as a president. I didn't go destroy people's homes that had Mr. Biden's sign on it. I'm not a destructive person. I would not do that to anybody. Okay, guys, which ones do you want to do? I have the Bible trivia ones here. Hi, Cleo. How was your Easter, Miss Ma'am? And I have these ones. Crap. Which ones do you guys want to do? This one or this one tonight? Or we could talk about the Revelations again. So what's everybody want? Like the Bible trivia cards with the 4 different colors, or the regular ones where I read from like the Old Testament to like general numbers, places, objects, and events, Old Testament characters, and New Testament characters. You like the Old Testament? Okay, we could do the Old Testament one. And I don't know how long I want to do it tonight because I do have another live stream tomorrow if anybody would like to come over to All American Preppers channel, us ladies do a game called World Without Rules of Law. And this is almost like the end of days type stuff. And it's a very interesting one because you get a like there's like a bank type emergency, and there's some funny ones because it's like nobody would want to be in California or like Portland, Oregon, or Portland in Washington State. So, but if anybody wants to join me, it's at 8 o'clock tomorrow night on All American Preppers channel. I'll be on her channel. I don't know how to, I mean, I know how to do it on my channel, but that's like, I'm just going to do my little phone because that's so much easier for me because I'm not good with computers. I doubt any of us old folks are. And yes, I am going to be 51 in June. But if I'll start with the smaller cards for the Bible challenge one, the over 580 Bible trivia questions. So I'll get on with that. Okay. Thank you, Jericho. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. First question of the Old Testament. Who made, I know a lot of people have said that, and it's like, you know, it's because maybe I've stopped having people sing me happy birthday, because after 21, when I left for college and stuff, I just said, no, I don't want no birthdays. And of course, after I got married to my husband, after college, we waited till he got out because I didn't like college. But I might want to go back again, maybe for Bible studies to see how that goes. But let's do some Old Testament trivia. Okay, who made a riddle about a lion? Who made a riddle about a lion? And this is in Judges chapter 14, verse 16 through 18. Who made a riddle? Cleo, Jericho? Yep, you got that right. It was Samson. Okay. All right. Old Testament. Next question. What was the name of Ishmael's mother? What was the name of Ishmael's mother? This is in Genesis 16, verse 15. What was the name of Ishmael's mother? It is in Genesis 16, verse 15. Cleo, Jericho, yep, you got that right. It was Hagar. Okay, I got to flip the cards. Crap. All right. I got some of them upside down. That's all right. I do have hot tea tonight, but it's over on my coffee table, so I don't want any spillage over here with hot stuff or cold stuff. Last time it was on the floor. But all right. Old Testament. Whose mother brought to the temple a robe that she had made for him each year? This is in 1 Samuel 2, verse 18 and 19. Whose mother brought to the temple a robe she had made for him each year? It's in 1 Samuel chapter 2, verse 18 and 19. Yep. Yep, Jericho, you got it right. Samuel's mother. All right. All right. For the Old Testament, who said to the Lord, "Speak, for your servant is listening"? Who said to the Lord, "Speak, for your servant is listening"? This is in 1 Samuel chapter 3, verse 10. I love how they kind of give the answer for the chapter that you got to get it out of. Who said to the Lord, "Speak, for your servant is listening"? And it is in 1 Samuel chapter 3. Yeah, Samuel again. All right. Next question for the Old Testament. What priest anointed Saul? What priest anointed Saul? This is in 1 Samuel 10, verse 1. What priest anointed Saul, guys? It's in 1 Samuel. Yeah, Samuel. I know, these are so kind of easy questions. All right. Old Testament. Who purchased Joseph as a slave? Who purchased Joseph as a slave? It's in Genesis 37, verse 36. It's in Genesis 37, verse 36. Who purchased Joseph as a slave? No, not Pharaoh, hon. Cleo. It's in Genesis 37, verse 36. Jericho, you are correct. Potiphar. I'm hoping that's how it's said, because I cannot pronounce that. Potiphar. But that's who purchased Joseph as a slave. All right. Next Old Testament question. Who was David's father? Who was David's father? And it is in 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 58. Who was David's father? It's in 1 Samuel verse 17, verse 58. Chapter 17, verse 58. And no, it wasn't Samuel or Saul. Who was David's father? It's in 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 58. Does anybody want any more hint? Cleo, you got no, that's not Saul yet. No. I'll give you a hint. It starts with a J. Hint. That's the hint. The father's name starts with a J. And if you can think of a song that says blank girl, she was blank's girl. Yes, Jesse. Jesse. Yep. You are correct, Jericho. Jesse was the answer. All right. All right. Here's an Old Testament question. What was the name of the priest that Hannah brought Samuel to live with? What was the name of the priest that Hannah brought Samuel to live with? This is in 1 Samuel chapter 1, verse 25 through 28. They even made a book of it. The book of what? Out of the movies. Yep. Jericho, you got it right. Eli. Okay. Next Old Testament question. To whom did Abraham leave everything when he died? To whom did Abraham leave everything when he died? This is in Genesis 25, verse 5. Who did Abraham leave everything when he died? To whom did Abraham leave everything when he died? Which brother was it? That is the hint. Jericho, you got it right. Isaac. Isaac was the brother. And he had to put the lamb skin on because his brother Esau was hairy. So that had to be an interesting look back in those days. All right. Next Old Testament question. What was Solomon's other name? What was Solomon's other name? It is in 2 Samuel chapter 12, verse 24 and 25. What was Solomon's other name? It's in 2 Samuel chapter 12, verse 24 and 25. No, not Abraham, Cleo. If anybody remembers the Clampetts, what was the dad's name of the Clampetts? I'm going to go get my tea. I know it was... Okay. Solomon's other name was... It does have a Jed in it, but what... Mary, Jericho, yeah, you guys got it right. It's Jedediah. So that's a good... I'm going to go get my tea for a second so I can have some. I might just put it down next to... And tonight's tea that I'm drinking a ginger turmeric tea. Okay, maybe that won't spill there. Hopefully not. All right. All right. The next question. Who was the most wicked of all the kings in the Old Testament? Who was the most wicked of all the kings in the Old Testament? And it's in 1 Kings chapter 16, verse 30. It is good, Jericho. My husband and I get a lot of stuff, and we also grow a lot of herbs our own, so we can make our own teas. I like a lot of the lemon balm, and what other ones do I like? I got peppermint. I got all sorts of cool ones. I got spearmint too, but I also like to put them in tinctures. And that's interesting that the Bible even gives you hints about making your own tinctures out of the stuff that God put on our green earth. And we don't need certain things, but So who was the most wicked of all the kings? Yeah, I make tinctures, a lot of them. Let me go get one, guys. Yep, Ahab, son of Omri. You got that one right, Jericho. The son of Omri. Let me go get a tincture and I'll show you guys. This is one of my tinctures that I've made, and it is a Mammer Jam tincture, and it's 100 proof alcohol vodka that I use. And yes, you have to shake it up and then put it back in the dark place, which I'll do it a little later. But I also have another one. Let me go get that one, because this one's easier to make. This is my honey and garlic tincture. I have to peel the garlic. I have to press down on the garlic when it's peeled and done, so it lets out the juices. And then I put as many as I can. As you can see, my husband and I have been using it, because when we get sick, it may taste a little weird at first, but it's honey and garlic. You're going to get that garlicky flavor, especially when you eat the garlic slice, but it does work. So it's just honey and garlic, and basically you put it in a dark place, but you kind of flip it upside down. That's my husband's phone. I'm not going to answer that because I don't know who it is. But you flip it upside down. As you can see on the top here, or on the bottom, it is a little crystallized because I haven't done that in a while, but we've been using it. And you got to do it for like 90 days in a dark place. Yes, it is a great anti thing, but oh, thank God somebody didn't want to answer. But yeah, that's what we do. We don't really take any other medicines other than what is prescribed by my husband's doctor, because he has heart issues. So he does take certain medications that aren't going to be fully, in the botanical world, because it kind of sucks that we gotta. But all right, let me get back to the thing, guys. All right, from the Old Testament, who was Jacob tricked into marrying? Who was Jacob tricked into marrying? And this is in Genesis 29, verse 23 through 25. Who was Jacob tricked into marrying? It's in Genesis 29, verse 23 through 25. Jericho, yep, Leah is correct. Leah is the answer. Okay. Maybe one of these days I'll have to have my hubby and I show you guys how to make the tinctures. If you know how to grow herbs, you can do it. Because all I use is 100 proof vodka. I fill the jar. I use the small ones. I fill it up to with the herb, and then I just fill it with the vodka up to the line before the band, and then I just shake it and stuff. Yeah, I'll definitely have to do that once my herbs start growing again, because that'll be a neat little thing for a Sunday night, and when he's home too. Okay, next one from the Old Testament. Who were Jacob's two wives? Who were Jacob's two wives? And this is in Genesis 29, verse 15 through 30. Who were Jacob's two wives? It's in the Old Testament, Genesis chapter 29, verses 15 through 30. Who were Jacob's two wives? Who were Jacob's two wives? It's in Genesis 29, verses 15 through 30. Leah was one of them, Jericho. Rebecca was not. But Leah is one of the wives of Jacob. And how about this? How about this hint, guys? Can you name any of the friends from Friends? One of the ladies. Yeah, it starts with an R. But what was one of the girls' names in Friends that started with an R? Because that's the name I'm looking for. If anybody watched Friends. I didn't, but I see snippets on Facebook. So, and they are hilarious. Rachel, yes. You got it, Jericho. I think somebody already answered this, but I'm going to give it a try. From the Old Testament, who was Ahab's wife? 1 Kings chapter 16, verses 30 and 31. Who was Ahab's wife? Oh, good Lord. I got scared by my own dryer. I forgot I had stuff in there. Oh, my God. Oh, shite. Who was Ahab's wife, guys? 1 Kings chapter 16, verse 30 and 31. Cleo, Jericho, you got it right. It was Jezebel. Sorry, guys, I got to have another drink. And this is my second cup of tea, so. All right. Yeah, I know. But look at all the demons that are worse than most people nowadays. And we know most of the demons, what their names are, and we shouldn't even be speaking about them because they are worse than what was. And I'm glad that Jesus gave us that authority to tell the demons to go back to the pit. Yeah, I know. And certain people are not listening to God anymore. And that's what's sad. We need more people telling everybody about Jesus. All right. Old Testament question, guys. Who tried to kill Elijah? Who tried to kill Elijah? This is in 1 Kings chapter 19, verse 1 and 2. I think we already figured that one out. Who tried to kill Elijah? It's probably the last answer, guys. It's in 1 Kings chapter 19, verse 1 and 2. Yeah, I can't wait to get my eyes examined and get some new glasses because these are from the Dollar Tree, which I should have never had. I should have went and got my eyes examined because I can barely see half the time. So, who tried to kill Elijah? It is in 1 Kings chapter 19, verses 1 and 2. Cleo, you got it right. Jezebel. Queen Jezebel. Why would anybody make her a queen, man? I don't know. Yep. Okay. Next question of the Old Testament. Who was the cousin of Mordecai who became a queen? This is in, I'm just going to basically say the answer. Good Lord. It's in Esther 2, verse 15 through 17, guys. Who was the cousin of Mordecai who became a queen? It's in Esther. Yeah. Esther. I love how they give you what it's in, and it's the actual answer for the hint. Yeah. All right. Okay, next Old Testament question. Who was Ruth's mother-in-law? Who was Ruth's mother-in-law? And this is in Ruth 1, 7 and chapter 1, verse 7 and 8. It's in Ruth 1, chapter 7 and 8. Yes, Cleo, it was Naomi. All right. Next Old Testament question. Oh, that's cool, Conspiracy Queen. I'm in the book of Jeremiah. On Tuesday, I'll be reading part 2, chapters 6 through 10. Yep, Mary, it was Naomi. Yep. All right. Next question. Who was Joseph's mother? Who was Joseph's mother? This is in Genesis chapter 30, verses 22 through 24. That's cool. I say we are all one race. We are all the human race. This is what a lot of people forget, is that people see too many colors. I see one color, and we're all the human, which is a lot better than signaling anybody out. We're human. We all make mistakes. That's how it should be. Instead of, oh, this race made this mistake. These people made this mistake. No, we're all one race, and it's called the human race. We all make mistakes. But the good Lord made sure of that on Good Friday, that he conquered death. Yep. One race, the human race. And Jesus made sure that everybody gets to heaven to be judged fairly because of our good deeds and what we do here on earth. If we just follow the 10 commandments, and yes, I know a lot of people don't, but that's how it should be. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not lie. Thou shalt not have any false gods before me, for he is a jealous God. Yes, all of our DNA goes back to Noah and his 3 sons. So we are of one race, and it doesn't matter, but it is definitely a different. Okay. Next question. All right. For Old Testament, which one of his sons did Isaac love? Which one of his sons did Isaac love? This is in Genesis 25, verse 28. Which one of his sons did Isaac have? And remember, Isaac had 2 sons. Which one of his sons did Isaac love? It's in Genesis chapter 25, verse 28. And remember, it's the one that had to have the sheepskin on his arms, folks. I think. But yeah, which one of his sons did Isaac love? It's in Genesis 25, verse 28. Esau. Yep, Esau. All right. This goes along with the question that I just read. Who sold his birthright in the Old Testament? It's in Genesis 25, chapter 25, verse 32 and 33. Who sold his birthright? Yep, Esau again. Here's a good one because I didn't even know this unless I've read it somewhere. But here's in the Old Testament. Who was carried to heaven in a whirlwind? Who was carried to heaven in a whirlwind? This is in 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 11. It's in 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 11. Who was carried to heaven in a whirlwind? Yep, Jericho, you got it right. Elijah. They had some crazy names back then, didn't they? I can't even pronounce half. But I'm not a Hebrew, so. Okay, next question from the Old Testament. Who called down fire from heaven? Who called down fire from heaven? This is in 2 Kings chapter 1, verse 10. Who called down fire from heaven? 2 Kings chapter 1, verse 10. Anybody know that one? Yep. Elijah. Yep. You guys, Jericho and Cleo got it right. All right. Next one of the Old Testament. Yeah, I know. That is definitely a weird way to say Elijah, but Elijah. But, okay. Next question of the Old Testament. Who was the high priest that took care of Samuel? Who was the high priest that took care of Samuel? This is in 1 Samuel chapters 1, verse 25 through 28. And this is a reference from a movie. The Book of what? The Book of who? I think it had Denzel Washington. Eli. Yep. Jericho, you got it right. Eli was the answer. Eli. Yep. All right. Here's one that I discussed a while ago. I don't have. Dang it. Where did I put that book? All right. All right. Here's the old. Hey, Conspiracy Queen. I'm terrible with names too. Quite a lot because it's like I forget half the people I work with, which is not a good thing. I mean, when you're only working with like maybe 3 or 4 people. I know I can't spell them either, Cleo, but it's just interesting. All right. For the Old Testament, who walked with God and then was no more, for God took him? This is in Genesis chapter 5, verse 24. Who walked with God and then was no more, for God took him? Basically, he took him body and soul. And this is one of the books. Enoch. Yep. Enoch. Yeah, I did a book. I did a live on the book of Enoch. And now I don't know where I put it. This is what I get for my space in my house. If I knew where it was, I'd show it to you. I might know where it is, but I'll have to look for it later. I'll show it to you. only one or two went in the body. Yeah, I know. All right. All right. Next Old Testament question. Who said, "O Lord, our God, O Lord, our Lord, how majestic is your name in all the earth"? Who said, "O Lord, our Lord, how majestic is your name in all the earth"? And this is in Psalm 8, verse 1. Who said, "O Lord, our God, our Lord, how majestic is your name in all the world"? This is in Psalm 8, verse 1. Who basically sang the Psalms, guys, in the Bible? And this is in the Old Testament still. Yes, Jericho. King David was the answer. King David was the answer. Yep, David. All right, here's another good one, but I bet you guys will guess this one. Who was the man? Yep. Who was the man after God's own heart? Who was the man after God's own heart? This is in 1 Samuel 13, 14, 16, 12, and 13. Who was the man after God's own heart? Yeah, David again. I know everybody got that right, but it was David again. Yeah. Good Lord, I'm getting all the interesting ones. All right. Found one that isn't the same. Okay. Old Testament question. Who interpreted the handwriting on the wall? Who interpreted the handwriting on the wall? I'm just going to basically give the answer away because the question or the hint would be in Daniel 5:17. Who interpreted the handwriting on the wall? Yeah, Daniel, the one that went into the lion's den and survived. Daniel. Jericho, you got it right, man. Okay. All right. Next question. Who was the man with the painful sores? And this is in the Old Testament. Who was the man with the painful sores? Because God let the devil treat him and he'd still be faithful. Yep, Job. Yep. And it was funny too, because the little hint was Job 2, verse 7. Yep. Yeah, I know we do have a disease named after Job. That's weird. It's all weird because it's like everything is named after somebody or something. Yep. All right. In the Old Testament, next question. Who was the reckless chariot driver? Who was the reckless chariot driver? This is in 2 Kings chapter 9, verse 20. Who was the reckless chariot driver? Chapter 2 or 2 Kings chapter 9, verse 20. No, it wasn't Samson. Cleo. Who was the reckless chariot driver? It's in 2 Kings chapter 9, verse 20. I didn't even say the armor of God prayer. Crap. Does anybody know this one? Who was the reckless chariot driver? This is in 2 Kings chapter 9, verse 20. And it was not Samson. And the dude's name starts with a J. But it is in 2 Kings chapter 9, verse 20. No, not Jesus. That's the New Testament. That's all right, Jericho. At least we're laughing. That's a good laugh. Jehu, yep, Jehu. Now that's a weird name. Jehu. Wonder what would happen if somebody named their kid that today. Wonder how many people would laugh their butts off just because of a weird name. I mean, I know we got weird names now. Certain kids do have weird names, but it's like, hey. Okay. Next Old Testament question, guys. Who tried to tempt Joseph into sinning when he was a slave of Potiphar? Who tried to tempt Joseph into sinning when he was a slave of Potiphar? This is in Genesis 39, verses 7 and 8. Who tried to tempt Joseph into sinning when he was a slave of Potiphar? It's in Genesis 39, chapters 7 and 8. The guy's wife. Yeah, Cleo, you're right. Potiphar's wife. I wish they would have given her name. But yeah. That the dude's wife. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next question of the Old Testament. Which of her sons did Rachel love? Or Rebecca, not Rachel. Sorry, guys. Which of her sons did Rebecca love? This is in Genesis 25, verse 28. Which of her sons did Rebecca love? Genesis 25, verse 28. And I'll give you a hint. If you've watched the movie Twilight, what is Bella's wolf friend's name? Yep, Jacob. Jacob was his name. Yes. Jericho, you got it right. Yep, Jacob. All right. Next question from the Old Testament, guys. Who did Isaac bless instead of Esau? Who did Isaac bless instead of Esau? Remember, he had to have the skin of the sheep or goat on his arms. This is in Genesis 27, verses 21 through 23. Yeah, yep, Conspiracy Queen, you got it right. It was Jacob. Yeah, just because he wanted the stuff that his brother was making. I think it was like a meat or something. I'm not sure, but I'm going to have to read that again. All right. Yeah. Next question of the Old Testament. Name two of the four major prophets. Name two of the four major prophets. And this is in the Old Testament, guys. Name two of the four major prophets of the Old Testament. Name two of the four major prophets in the Old Testament. Anybody know any of the four? Jeremiah, Isaiah, that's two of them. You got two right, Jericho. Ezekiel is one conspiracy queen, yeah. Moses was not. And the last prophet, he stood in the lion's den. That's all right, conspiracy queen. But this dude stood in the lion's den and survived because the angels protected him. That's my hint for the last dude. Daniel, yes, Cleo. Daniel was the last prophet of the four. Isaiah, Jeremiah, Daniel, and Ezekiel. All right. Next question from the Old Testament. What was the name of Abraham's promised son? What was the name of Abraham's promised son? This is in Genesis 21, verse 3. Hi, Party Bonza. How are you? We're doing the Old Testament questions tonight, Party Bonza. So, what was the name of Abraham's promised son? It is in Genesis 21, verse 3. What was the name of Abraham's promised son? It's in Genesis 21, verse 3. Not Seth. It's in Genesis 21, verse 3, Party Bonza. Jericho, you got it right. Isaac. Isaac was his name. All right. Here's an interesting one. What Old Testament couple had twin sons? This is the Old Testament question. What Old Testament couple had twin sons? This is in Genesis 25, verse 20 through 24. What Old Testament couple had twin sons? It's in Genesis 25, verses 20 through 24. What Old Testament couple had twin sons? This is in Genesis 25, verse 20 through 24. Does anybody know? What Old Testament couple had twin sons? It's in Genesis 25, verse 20 through 24. Rebecca and Isaac. Yep. Jericho, you got that right. It was Rebecca and Isaac. All right. Next Old Testament question, guys. What was the name of Abraham's first son? This is in Genesis chapter 16, verse 15. It's in Genesis 16, verse 15. What was the name of Abraham's first son? What was the name of Cleo? You got it right. Just didn't spell it right, but that's all right. Ishmael. Ishmael. That is definitely a hard one to spell, I'll tell you that much. I wouldn't have been able to spell it either. Because I did go to religion class. That's all right. Hey, most of us can't because I hated school. I hated to spell too. That's like I had spell check everywhere, considering going to throughout school and throughout what little college I went to. That's cool. All right. Next question, guys. From the Old Testament. Which prophet saw a vision of the valley of dry bones? Which prophet saw a vision of the valley of the dry bones? I'm just going to give the answer too, because they give me the a hint. It's in Ezekiel 37, verse 1. What prophet saw a vision of the valley of dry bones? It's in Ezekiel 37, verse 1. Yep, Ezekiel. Yep, Ezekiel is the answer. All right. Here's a good one for the Old Testament. What is the name of the man who lived the longest on earth? What is the name of the man who lived the longest on the earth? This is in Genesis chapter 5, verse 7. Yeah, that dude, Methuselah. Yep, y'all got it right. Methuselah was the answer. I can't even say it. Like I said, they definitely had some weird names back in those days. All right. Next Old Testament question. To whom did Jacob go when he had to flee from home? To whom did Jacob go when he had to flee from home? This is in Genesis 27, verses 42 and 43. To whom did Jacob go when he had to flee from home? To whom did Jacob have to go when he had to flee from home? This is in Genesis 27. That's fine, Cleo. I can't spell half the stuff that I spell either. But to whom did Jacob go when he had to flee from home? This is in Genesis 27, verses 42 and 43. Yep, Party Bonza, you got it right. To the uncle Laban, Laban. Yep, Laban. Now that's quite a name, Laban. All right. Next Old Testament question, guys. Who was the boy who was king? Who was the boy who was king? This is in 2 Kings chapter 22, verse 1. Who was the boy who was king? It's in 2 Kings chapter 22, verse 1. Anybody else? Because Jericho got it right. Josiah. All right. Next question, guys. Of the Old Testament, here it is. Who said, "As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord"? This is in Joshua 24, verse 15. I just gave the answer, so y'all should know. Who said, "As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord"? It's in Joshua 24, verse 15. Is that another Huey that's going outside my house? Good Lord, those are flying over my house way too much. And they are loud. I'm just hoping it is. Let me go check. If I can see it. No, I don't know. That's all right. But we do get a lot of those because we do have an Air Force base in Buffalo. Okay. All right. That's okay, Cleo. I'll see you in God's Signpost sometime this week. God bless you too. All right. I'm just going to do a little bit more, guys, because I want to get off and finish some other streams that I've been watching of gamers, because I do like some of the games, even though they are weird. But it gets me through the night. Plus, I do have a 3-hour church to watch, so I'll probably watch that first. You have a... Yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you, Cleo. All right. Next question for the Old Testament, guys. Who predicted 7 years of plenty and 7 years of famine? This is in Genesis 41, verses 25 through 27. Who predicted the 7 years of plenty and the 7 years of famine? It's in Genesis 41, verses 25 through 27. No, it wasn't Moses, hon. Basically, I would say it's the same name as Jesus's foster father. What was Jesus's foster father's name? Because Mary was not married to him as of yet, because when she gave birth, yep, Joseph was the answer. Thank you, Party Bonza. Joseph was the answer for that one. Old Testament question. Who was called the dreamer? Who was called the dreamer? It's in Genesis 37, verses 17 through 19. It was, yeah, Joseph again. It was Joseph. All right. Here's an interesting one from the Old Testament. What evil king surrounded Jerusalem for 1.5 years? What evil king surrounded Jerusalem for 1.5 years? This is in Jeremiah 39, verse 1 and 2. What evil king surrounded Jerusalem for 1.5 years? This is in Jeremiah 39, verse 1 and 2. Does anybody know? And this dude's name is hard to pronounce too, so. But what evil king surrounded Jerusalem for 1.5 years? It is in Jeremiah chapter 39, verse 1 and 2. I don't know what kind of clue I would give, Jericho. But it's in Jeremiah 39, verse 1 and 2. That's what they give me because I don't even know how to spell it or say the king's name. It was a king. So what kind of evil king? Zedekiah? No. Here's a good hint. It starts with the king N. N-E-B. That's the only hint. No, not Nehemiah. But it's N-E-B you see yeah, Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar. Yeah, that weird name. Like I said, weird names for the people in the Old Testament. All right, I'm going to go a little bit more, guys, and then I'm going to get off. Okay. All right. Old Testament question. Who was the first king of the 10 tribes of Israel? Who was the first king of the 10 tribes of Israel? This is in 1 Kings chapter 14, verse 7. Who was the first king of the 10 tribes of Israel? 1 Kings chapter 14, verse 7. Not Rehoboam. It's almost like your name, Jericho, but a little bit like what you have, Rehoboam. It's like the first few letters of yours with Boham. That's my hint. Jeroboam. Yep. That's the correct answer. Jeroboam. Okay. All right. Last question, guys, because I've been on an hour and a 7. Sorry. All right. Last question of the Old Testament. Who was Ruth's son? This is in Ruth, chapter 4, verse 13 through 17. Who was Ruth's son? It is in Ruth 4, verse 13 and 17. Not David, Jericho. Who was Ruth's son? It is in Ruth 4, verse 13 and 17. Not Jesse. Starts with an O. Ow. Ow. Yeah, everybody has to die. Obed. Yep. Party Bonza, you got it right. Yeah, that's all right, Conspiracy Queen. But I'm going to get off and I'm going to go relax. Yeah, I know. That's awesome. But it's like, hey, we got to do it sometimes because you got to look them up. That's like, I wish if we do another card game, maybe somebody that knows how to put the Bible verses up. When I say Ruth chapter 4, verse 13 and 17. Yeah, that's all right, Conspiracy Queen. I like having. Yes, Mary, you do. It's like I have like several. I do have my yeah. Get a Bible and study it, guys, because that's what everybody needs to do, because we need to be prayed up for the Word of God. And I'm going to say the Armor of God prayer because I forgot to do that. Yeah, Genesis is a long one. There is definitely a lot to learn. All right, the Armor of God, guys. It's in Ephesians 6 if you want to look that up. But like I say in my videos, you also can look it up on any search engine. The Armor of God. I put on and stand firm with the belt of truth buckled around my waist. I am safe and secure with the breastplate of righteousness guarding my heart from evil. helping me live a life that honors you. I diligently put on the gospel shoes of peace, willing to go wherever you ask of me. I take and stand behind the shield of faith, protected against Satan's fiery darts of doubt, fear, lies, and deceit. Now on my head, I place the helmet of salvation, keeping my mind on you. I grab hold in my hand of the sword of the Spirit, the word of God, sharp and true. I am prepared to live today in spiritual victory in Jesus' name. Amen and hallelujah. God is risen. He is alive. Peace be with all of you and have a very good night. Thank you and have a good night, guys.